colorofchange.org has been leading the movement against Glenn Beck, and it has resulted in a number of advertisers withdrawing from the Glenn Beck program. Joining us now here on MIP is the campaign manager for Color of Change, Danny McLean. Danny, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
Fine. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me on.
You're the campaign manager, so you are managing the Glenn Beck campaign?
Well, yeah, there are a number of us here who are doing the work on the campaign, but yes, I've been involved.
Okay. Give us an idea. The last time I checked, it was, over 40 advertisers?
Oh, way over 40.
How many?
We just announced today that we have 62 companies that have decided to do the right thing and move their ad dollars away from Beck's show.
And so there are still people, even after Van Jones' resignation, who are still withdrawing?
Definitely, yeah. We've gotten a couple of companies just this week that have reached out to us and said, you're right, and we've told Fox not to let our ads run during Beck's show anymore.
Now, on your website, people are asked to add their voice. How do they do that, and what are they doing?
Well, it might be helpful to give a little background. So basically, in late July, Glenn Beck made a comment on Fox. He called the president a racist and said that the president is a guy who has shown himself over and over and over again to have a deep-seated hatred of white people. Glenn Beck has a pattern of saying just ridiculous things and using fear-mongering and race-baiting to stir up his viewers. But it became apparent to us immediately that was just so far beyond the pale that we needed to speak out and figure out a way to get our members involved. And so we sent an email out to our membership list of over 600,000 people around the country and just let them know both about what Beck had said just that week about President Obama, but also just reminding them of kind of some of the ridiculous things he had said in the past. And the response was overwhelming. We had tens of thousands of people overnight signing on to a statement asking advertisers to pull their ads from Beck's show. And we immediately started calling advertisers, and we were really excited by the response. Within the first week, we had Procter & Gamble and LexisNexis and I believe Progressive Insurance agreeing with us. And so when we ask people to, let their voices be heard and sign on, that's basically what they're doing, is signing on to this statement for this particular campaign, signing on to this statement asking advertisers to pull their ads or to let Fox know that, you can keep our, run our ads wherever you like, but just make sure that they don't show up on this particular show. Okay.
So that has been going on successfully. What is the goal?
Well, the goal is,
And I mean in the sense of, are we trying to get all of the advertisers that are out there to withdraw? Is there a certain specific number we're trying to reach?
Well, our belief is that no company with a recognizable brand wants its brand associated with, the kinds of lies that Glenn Beck tries to pass off as journalism. And in that respect, we've been very successful. If you watch the Glenn Beck show for the past couple of weeks, the only ads you see on there are direct response ads, the call 1-800 these are not major companies that are advertising on a show anymore. And so in that respect, we've been really successful. And I think the larger goal is, you have to kind of ask this question. Fox presents itself as a news outlet. It's the Fox News Channel. Glenn Beck presents himself as a journalist. He's always acting as if he's raising these important questions that nobody else wants to tackle. And but if you look at what he says and does, so little of it is rooted in fact. He is. I mean, I've said it before, but he's basically engaged in this fear-mongering. If you look at the things that he says, he'll say things like, Obama wants to create a civilian army. And what he's doing, he's lifted a sentence from a speech in which the president was actually talking about the importance of AmeriCorps. Yet he's trying to convince his viewers that, there's some civilian army that's being that's in the works of being created. He says things like, you are about to lose your freedom of speech in this country. On what basis, on what factual basis does that have? And he's just so intent on creating this kind of narrative that President Obama and his administration are intent on bringing down this country, changing it dramatically, and basically undoing it, bringing about its destruction. And so we feel that, it's not, let's have real journalists and real reporters, people who know how to help people understand the important issues at hand rather than just making people afraid.
colorofchange.org's campaign manager is on board with us. Danny McClain. Quick calls, 866-99-SIRIUS, 866-997-4748. Danny, where can we find the most reputable list of advertisers that have withdrawn from Glenn Beck so far?
Well, the thing to do is to make sure that you are getting our emails. And so you can do that if you go to www.colorofchange.org.
Right.
colorofchange.org, and if you sign up, then you'll be getting updates on how our campaign is doing. In fact, we just sent out an update to people who had already signed on to the campaign. We sent an update out to them today, and we'll be going out later this week to our whole list. So the best way to stay up to date on the campaign is to make sure that we have your email address and we can keep you updated.
So, folks, we want to encourage you to do that so you can know exactly what is going on. Now, if you go to the website, colorofchange.org, and you click on About, and it shows the staff and whatnot, the name just below yours says Danny McClain, joined the Color of Change campaign staff in the winter of 2008. So you're pretty new. She's a graduate of Columbia University's Graduate School of Journalism, and before Color of Change worked for the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel covering education. You're a journalist yourself, so you know of which you speak. Yeah. The name right below yours says former staff, and then it says Van Jones, co-founder, inactive.
Right.
But his name is still prominently there. Do you all at Color of Change feel that Van Jones et al. Is a casualty of this movement?
Yeah, I mean, you have to wonder why is it that right after we started having such a big impact on Glenn Beck's bottom line, why is it that he launched into this full-scale attack, doing everything he could to find, to cherry pick these quotes that Van Jones had said, take them out of context, and basically present Van Jones as this boogeyman. Glenn Beck had mentioned Van a couple times, I think on his radio show. I'm not sure he had done it on his TV show before we had gone out with our campaign. We didn't know that until after the fact, but it wasn't until after we launched this campaign that it became this daily assault on Van Jones. Right. So, yeah, I mean,
when let me see now. According to Think Progress, and I'm going to pretend to be a journalist now.
Sure.
They say that Beck attacked Jones in 16 episodes of his show between July 23rd and September the 4th.
That sounds about right.
When did the boycott start?
July 30th.
Okay, so that's still right around the same time.
Yeah.
So at best, according to their recollection.
And it would be wise to see, how the frequency increased after, in early August, because we definitely. And the thing is, it's very cowardly. It has been very cowardly on Beck's part. He never once mentioned. He has not mentioned colorofchange.org or the campaign that's been effective in moving 62 major companies away from his show. He just kind of, he hasn't mentioned us by name. He hasn't mentioned the association with Van Jones by name, and I should be clear that association is Van Jones helped found Color of Change in 2005. He has not been involved with our organization for almost 2 years. But, Glenn Beck never talked about that. He just basically tried to make an example out of
So Glenn Beck never said he never made a direct reference. That's interesting.
Not at all. He referenced other organizations that Van Jones has been involved in, Ella Baker Center for Human Rights, but never colorofchange.org.
Now, but I asked you, and I just want to be sure I understand your answer. I asked you if you all feel that Van Jones is a casualty. You said yes.
Well, we are very aware and saddened by the connection and the sequence of events, and we're also very disappointed by the White House. We understand that Van Jones made a decision on his own to leave, and that's fine, but we are also disappointed that the White House didn't fight back and say, here's a man who has proven himself to be a serious thinker and writer and advocate for environmental issues and racial justice issues, and we need him here in this administration. And I think it doesn't send a great message that instead they let this man, Glenn Beck, who has essentially been discredited in so many ways. You have no major companies want their brand associated with him, and yet he's able to make personnel decisions in the White House. So, all respect to the Obama administration, but we wish that maybe they had fought a little harder to keep Van Jones on board.